Hello and good afternoon. This is Gina Costigan with 50 and Fabulous, what you've learned through the trenches. And before I say who's on this very, very special part 2 podcast, I'm going to go ahead just and talk a little bit about women, health, and wealth. I do have a networking group that I've been working with and started last year, actually. And it's always on the third Thursday of each month from 12:30 to 2 at Lore. However, this time it's going to be August the 15th from 5 to 7 at the Wine Tasting Room in Thousand Oaks. So I'm going to be working on this and with my networking group and also working with women and women health and wealth in the future. So go ahead and watch out for that. This is Miss Julie Spear, and I'm so excited just because I know her on a professional and personal level.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you having me, Gina.
You're so welcome.
This is part 2.
This is part 2, and a lot's happened in the year. Let me tell you that. So, Julie, I had the pleasure not only of working with her on a professional level, which is just outstanding, but personally, it's so nice to get to know Mark, her husband, who's so supportive, and her 2 amazing, beautiful daughters. Last weekend, we celebrated her daughters graduated from UCSB and is moving on to Berkeley.
Yes.
That was really cool. And I got to meet her oldest daughter, and she lives up in Utah. She works for the Utah Jazz, and she was here for 3 weeks, you said, right?
Kristen just left this morning.
Oh,
yes.
That's
really
hard,
nice.
too.
I know.
And, I mean, what a family, though. She's just, I mean, a stellar person. You could tell, I mean, she's a wonderful mom. I know this. She's a girl mom. I'm a girl mom, so we've always had that in common. But just to dive right in, and also I'm so proud of Julie because, you know, when I first met her, she joined Boss Ladies, and that was the networking group that we met. But she was with another company, and then she decided to branch out and start Jules Talent Solutions.
Yes.
So that was about last July, September.
End of September, yes.
End of September. So from September to now, I've seen this company. It's almost like a rebirth, but it's definitely come so far. From your marketing materials to everything you put together to your display table, which is bright and beautiful at our eWomen Network.
Yes, that was fun.
Just seeing you shine. I mean, you're in your element. You're happy. You're working with clients. You're a matchmaker, so I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to let you tell me about it.
Well, I will. Well, first of all, you've been a number one supporter of mine from the very beginning, and when I told you I was going to be starting my own recruiting firm, the minute I told you, you were like, absolutely, you should. You'd already been a client of mine. You really, really encouraged me to just step forward, and once I made that decision to step forward and to become Jules Talent Solutions, you know, I got to see the business just grow, and I took it day by day. I didn't know everything that was going to happen in this first year, and we're not even there yet. I mean, we really have a few more months, but in the course of the time, you know, that we've been networking together through Team as well as eWomen, you know, I've been able to really every month just grow and establish my business, and my vision is getting much more clearer, and I feel that the support of people like you and other business women supporting women,
most definitely,
it just really helps define who I am, what I want to do, and what that vision is going to look like. Because I have always been a working parent. I've always enjoyed working. I've come from a different, you know, background in advertising before and retail before that. But I really think I found my niche, and that is really always helping people. And I really enjoy that connection. As you mentioned, I'm a matchmaker. You know, being able to connect a client with the right talent, you know, is so important because, one, I get to help the client grow and expand at leaps and bounds.
And they're interested in you to find them that particular client on that end too, or that candidate on that end to meet their expectations, which is hard.
It is hard, and you were tough on me.
Yeah, I was not. Sorry.
I think that's what connected us. Is because the communication was there, the feedback was there. Because, you know, I'm going to try to get it right the first time. You know, I'm going to get to know the client.
You did give me resumes. Let me tell you, you were good and fast, but they were good resumes. I told you what I needed, what licenses I needed, and it was the first time I'd worked with someone that I got enough resumes to where we started making interviews and third interviews and. To where we got to one point where it might be a go, and then, you know, unfortunately she wasn't able to do it due to some health issues. But with that said, that's the first time I've gotten with you that far, but you gave me just clear, wonderful resumes, and it was really exciting.
Well, good. And that's what I really want to provide to all of my clients, because they say, why would I use a recruiter? Why would I use Jules' talent? What makes you different? And because I have over 10 years in the recruiting world, and I used to sit on the other side of the desk doing the hiring, I really know how important it is to get the right person, the right fit. And it's not just bodies in a seat, and companies are revamping, they're pivoting, the workplace
Some are laying
has
off
changed.
even.
Yes, and so I also, on that note, I do get calls from companies when there are layoffs. The first thing that I do is, especially if it's a client of mine, I will actually go and be there to support those job seekers. Once they get noticed, it's very devastating. And to be able to give them an option and just to be a resource to them, to be able to say, look, this position's ending here with this company, but you have great skill sets. Let's get together. I can schedule an interview with you. We can do a little more, deeper dive into what you're looking for. But take some time, take the severance, whatever that looks like. But to have clients call me and want to help me with people that they're having to lay off, because not all the time are they really happy about it. I mean, the reality is that when business gets tight, it's all about the dollar, and unfortunately people will lose their positions. But one of the things that I try to do when I talk to my employees or job seekers is that it's not a reflective of them. It is literally the economy, it's the business, it's the industry they might be in. It's not personal, especially when it's a mass layoff. But when it happens to you, it's a panic. And we saw this during the recession, 2008, 2010. A lot of things were happening.
Yeah, and I've been in the mortgage industry for 31 years, going on 32 years. And, when that did happen, it was awful. And it went on from 2008 to all the way really 10 to 11. It's when I started doing mortgage recruiting. I recruited my way into Main Street. It was just a mass exodus at that point. And it was scary for a lot of people. So
it really was.
And even with companies, I think using recruiters, I feel, is so much easier for big companies and for companies in general, because you know exactly what we want to do, and it frees up our time to do our jobs.
Exactly.
It's really hard to do your job, do the hiring, and if you have to let someone go, I've been on all seats, and it's not easy.
It's not easy to juggle it all.
No.
And, I'm an extension of your company. I work to support you, and, I'm still another set of eyes for you, and you still have to, read through the resumes, should be able to have a phone interview, a Zoom interview, an in-person interview, whatever that looks like, whatever your process is. So important that you feel comfortable with it. But before I send someone to you, I've already interviewed them. I've checked references.
Right, you've done the references.
I want to make sure that they're the level of a professional that I'm looking to place. And with that said, that's why I'm really focusing on mid to senior level professionals. Many professionals have not had to look for a job for a while, and now they're finding themselves being laid off after 10, 15, maybe 20 years.
I've heard that, and I heard also people that have been in industries, making a certain salary, but they're high levels, like, the CFO or the CEO or COO, and they're looking, and they've been looking for a year and they haven't found anything.
Well, those are really important positions, and those aren't positions that are going to be filled quickly.
Right.
And clients are very specific on who they're bringing in, and CEOs, especially when there's a CEO change or investor change. Chances are those C-level seats are going to be removed and replaced with their own people.
Right.
And
that's scary.
And that's very scary.
Right.
There will be, a home for those people in the future, but it's not like it's just there waiting for them. And it's not like I just have it available. If I do, great. The reality is I will skill market that candidate and have to, really help them find something else. And I talk to them about other industries they might be interested in and such. But the reality is that most positions at that level are always going to be the first on the chopping block, so to speak. Of course, you're going to have the mass layoffs with more entry-level roles, but senior leadership, they are getting paid the most. And some senior leadership's brought in for a short term anyway, a year, 2 years.
They just don't know that.
They don't know that. No, they don't know that. And they're there to make the change. And that change is either working or it's not. And the reality is that they have to be on their toes too, and that's where I come in, because I continue to talk to the C-suites.
Right.
And obviously I'm there to support them in their role and the company they're at, but should they want to take a look at other opportunities, I can, with that confidentiality, and then I am able to look for other roles. Or a CEO might reach out to me and say, I'm really ready to hire a COO or a CFO.
Right, I'm looking for that.
Because they need to delegate, but that person does not have time. They're running a company.
Right.
They are.
No, they don't have time.
They do not have time for that.
Have time.
And they certainly don't want to take their management level employees and have them start looking for that level. It's a very specialized role. It's high profile. And it's not something that you can just put an ad out there and
Right,
someone's
right.
going to show up.
Well, it's just like here at Main Street, if it's from a admin level to a loan officer to a processor to an underwriter, John says, Gina, we need to hire this person. Okay, here I go again. But I have found that working with recruiters, it is easier than going just, based on Indeed, where I get all these resumes. And, I do look through those too.
Absolutely.
But, sometimes just giving exact and specific things that I need, it makes it so much better to get that quality candidate into the office. Do you see a shift, say, in the next year or two with companies using recruiters? And do you think it's going to go up, or do you think it's kind of maxed out?
In the last year, we've seen a lot of changes. There have been companies that have released their recruiters. There are a lot of recruiters like myself that have gone independent. Because we have really taken the time to really get to know our clients. And we are, I would say I am in particular, more compassionate, understanding. I've run my own business before. I've been in various industries. And so I ride the wave with my clients, And if they say to me, look, you know what, right now we're not hiring. Maybe they've had a layoff. Maybe they're just on a hold. I'll check in with them later, and vice versa. The door is always open when they are ready, 2-3 months down the road. It's hard to say what it's going to be like. Everyone is saying that after the election things might change. I'm not going to get political.
Same with
but the reality
interest rates. Let's see if that's going to happen. We're like, actually, they've come down a little, but nothing like we expected.
So, everyone's watching their costs and their bottom line. And so most often when I'm talking to an HR manager or a senior leader, they'll say, I think we're good right now. We placed that ad. We've got some people. We have recruiters on it. Usually by the time they're calling me, it's because they've tried. Maybe they've put someone in the seat and didn't work out. Maybe they just are realizing that, it's a lot more extensive to actually physically do the interviewing, the vetting, all of that.
It's a time, and it takes a lot of commitment to do it. And I check references, and then it's usually 3 to 4. I look at the resumes, and sometimes if I get 10 of them, Alani, my assistant, puts them on my desk, and it's like, it's time consuming. And it takes me out of doing other different things like production and things like that. But this is part of producing our office. So with loan officers and, processors, or, of course, my loan officer assistants, and, marketing is so important for our, anybody's business, I think, right now.
Sales and marketing is
key right now.
There are a lot of business development sales roles available. Many clients that have those roles open, though, they're very specific in their industry. And I'll lay a lot of salespeople that'll say, well, I can sell anything. I have this X amount of experience, but the clients don't want to waste the time. They want to have someone that's already somewhat in that field. And I get that. My job too is also to see the other skill sets that someone brings to the table. Knowing that certain industries can transfer each other. And I do think that that's really important. And finding, the right person who's ready to be a student and learn. And they may have 10, 15 years in one industry, but are they really open to learning something new? Technology, as we've seen, shoots up and then it shoots back down.
But I think technology is huge. Like, it's almost like I would need to take a computer class, and that's how I feel sometimes. Whenever anything breaks down, I'm like, Chrissy, Haley, help me. I've messed up the spectrum again. I pulled out the plug wrong at 10 o'clock at night. I got the camera down.
Please, my husband's my IT guy. I'm like, Mark, come in here. I need help. How do I do this?
Chrissy's like, Mom, you put that cord in the wrong place. Yellow. I go, well, it was 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't sleep.
I can even get my Bluetooth set up on the laptop if I move it from one room
I feel
to the
better
next.
then. I feel better then. Okay.
So yes, no, we all need support, and those are roles that are not going away. They just will be maybe more short term. You'll see when I look at those type of resumes, in tech in particular, you'll see 1 to 2 years at one location and then hopping over to another company. Very much in startups, right? You're going to see that. Those IT people are needed. Once they've done their job, they got things up and running. They're not going to need all of that staff they hired, and so they move on. It's like a long term contract.
It happens.
So in that industry, people know that is just the nature of the beast. And then same with, business leadership too. There's a lot of business consultants out there.
A lot of consultants.
They're hired on a year to, year and a half basis, and they know they're coming in to do a job. Once they achieve all of that, then they're moving on to the next.
To something else.
I stay in touch with those job seekers too, because I know they're on assignment now. I try to keep in touch where they're at, so I kind of mark it as to when I know maybe they might be tapering off. I'll check in with them. Hey, are you ready to start looking? Because I'd rather start looking ahead of time
Right.
To give them an opportunity, and in some cases they've been extended another 6 months, which is great.
Right.
And then they'll call me and just let me know. And so I just put that particular job search on hold for that particular job seeker. But I definitely feel the uptick in companies wanting to get the right people. That is more important than anything else. It is always
it's a waste
about
of
quality.
time and money to not. I mean, I have seen it a few times here in my 3 generations or 3 decades, I should say, of being in this business. But 3 decades though, and running. When I ran Beneficial for 10 plus years, or when I managed. You want the right people, because by the time you've trained and you put the time and the energy, and if something doesn't work out, it's really frustrating. And sometimes it just doesn't work out, and then you got to go back to the drawing board.
Exactly.
But you hope most of the time it does. And I always think having I call you the matchmaker in my back pocket, one of the best assets we can have here. So.
Oh, I love that. I think that's my new marketing campaign.
It should be matchmaker.
Matchmaker, pull me out of your pocket.
See, I'm good for something.
Yeah, really.
But also we have some really exciting news. I just found out that Julie has been asked to be the eWomen Marketing Director for the Santa Barbara chapter. This is huge. I've had to hold this in.
Oh, yes.
No, this is huge. And congratulations to you. And I will be following you up there. Tell me what day I'm coming. I'm coming to support you. And you just have so many different people, and you've been in the chamber up there, and you're connected. And Julie, you're going to do well wherever you go. I saw you from this company, and you're still running your company, and you're succeeding, you're thriving, and doing this, you're going to thrive as well. People are always drawn to you. You have that type of personality, but yet you're a professional. So with those two combined, you can't go wrong.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you are going to do fantastic. That has been amazing, and I'm very, very happy for you. I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
What advice would you give for people that are currently looking for a job?
I tell people to take a moment to actually think about it, what it is that they want. They are also, in charge of their future, and they're in charge of what they're going to do next. I'm just there to help facilitate it, encourage it, open, the doors for them, but it really has to come down to what they want to do. And in order for them to really interview successfully, it has to be a job that's going to be at least 80% of what they're looking for. I do hear this all the time. People say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I know I applied. What job did I apply for? Which one was this?"
When you call me on, that's what I get too.
Yeah.
What company are you?
And I said, "Wow." And then, "Oh yeah, I've sent 100 resumes and filled out many applications." And I said, "Oh, what's happening? What's the process?" I'm getting nothing. And I just said, okay, well, the first thing I do is, can you please send me your resume? I really want to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Then we're going to do a Zoom interview, and we're going to dive deeper. And then at that point, I really discover how that resume maybe isn't the best summary of them. It doesn't represent them in the way that my customer is going to see if that's a good fit. In their mind, it's very... Maybe it just reads more like a job description. It's more than that, especially if you're in sales and marketing. It's all about revenue. It's all about KPIs. It's all about growth and the pattern that you have on your resume. Really explaining the gaps, if there are any gaps. That's really important. That's always the first thing my clients ask me when I send a resume.
Oh, yeah.
What happened during this time? As long as I know what's going on, I can speak to it. For the most part, it really is about really being serious about your job search. Not just going online, I'm going to apply for this, apply for that. Really know what you want, apply for those jobs, and then follow up with those jobs. I always tell people, if you're really interested in this role, it's okay to follow up with me. If we've already spoken, but we haven't had that Zoom interview.
Your job is to follow up.
Absolutely, because I spend more than half my time with clients too, and looking for new business and helping my clients in need. But I don't want to lose sight of my candidates. And so it's a responsibility. It's a 50-50 relationship. So I said, check in with me every other week. Send me a text, call me, whatever works for you, email. Just let me know you're still interested. If you find another role, which is really important, let me know where you land. Because one, it's exciting. I want you working. And two, I will stop looking behind the scenes, because that's generally what I do.
Right.
But being strategic and being open, I think we're at a time where realizing that just not working is not enough anymore. Like, you can't wait so long to where you've really out of the market. Sometimes, there is something else that you can do, and I always recommend volunteering if you can. Even if it's a job that you don't think is in line with your overall career goals, but you're doing it because it's a passion project. Maybe it's working in an animal shelter, maybe it's working in a children's preschool, whatever that looks like. Continue to be around people, network, and just show interest. And you're going to eventually talk to someone that's looking for someone that they're hiring.
Yeah,
and so for me, it's always about pushing forward day by day and not giving up. And just more importantly, too, is the psychological aspect of knowing it's not you. It is not always you. Most of the time, it is just overstimulated. I saw people say, I've been spending so much time on this, and they're burnt out.
Right.
Well, then I say by the time you interview, it shows, because the client will say, this person just had no passion.
Right.
This person's not interested. I will sometimes tell people to take a break, long weekend, or maybe don't interview this week.
Right.
Take
a deep breath.
And when you do go back out there to interview, it's like
recoup,
regroup,
whatever you gotta do.
The first interview you've ever been on, that's the one you want, and you show as much enthusiasm to that employer in that interview that you did 2 months ago.
I agree 1,000%, because when you see someone and you feel it coming through, even on a Zoom, even sometimes that people that sit in my office, I can feel it. Ones that really want it, ones that are just there and they this and that. I really want someone that's going to be tenacious, and they're going to ask me the questions, and I'm not doing all the legwork here. This is an interview. We need to be going back and forth. So, I've learned a lot through that in my years, too, of just working with people and understanding they have to be hungry.
They do.
I got to know they're going to show up. If they want to be on payroll, they got to show up and do the job.
And if they know that there are certifications or an education level that is required of the role that they're wanting to have,
then don't apply otherwise.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're saying. But at the same time, you're doing the job search. You could also be educating yourself.
Right.
And getting those certifications or studying to take that test that's required. So you're that much closer to that point.
If you've been home for 9 months and
don't
it's
wait
required.
till you get the job and then start doing the studying and say, well, now I will go ahead and do this.
Because it takes a long time.
And I have to add something, too, about the whole, commuting. Everyone's calling me. They want to leave their job because they want remote.
Everyone wants remote.
That part is changing, and companies want their people in the office.
Oh, we do.
And it's important. There's a combination.
There's a bond. And there's
a bond. And there's more flexibility to hybrid. But in the beginning, know that first 2 to 3 months, you're going to be required to come in. And unless it's a specific role that is already set up to where it can be fully 100% remote, and they have certain technologies to keep that reporting going, then that's fine. But the reality is, we all know that in order to sustain true company culture, having people connect like this is so much greater than just Zoom alone. And Zoom was a Band-Aid, and it was required.
We all had to. We had no choice. But I think the same thing. I actually am working with a client, and they put in an offer for a very expensive home. They work at home, and they make insane money. But I'm thinking they both still are on Zoom, and they're coming here from DC back to California, but they get to keep their jobs. I said that's not happening as much anymore. It's either hybrid. We like you in the office. You can work at home if you have something going on or if you're sick or anything like that. Of course, we're set up. But we are an office that likes you in the office. Except for our loan officers. They can be anywhere and just submit.
Well, they're in the field. Exactly. That's different.
I just bring me a loan and I don't care. Just kidding.
Well, companies are more considerate.
Yes.
And more open to.
Yes, we are.
And creative.
Right.
In ways
and as long as you're working, we want our people in the office. It drives business. It really helps the morale. It's just a good thing for the culture.
And just brainstorming too.
Brainstorming.
Great ideas come from just having conversations.
Yep. We have a meeting once a week. It's a brainstorming. It's talking about the files. It's everything. So I totally agree. Okay, Miss Julie Spear. It was amazing having you on the show. And look forward to seeing how, what happens in the next couple months here with your new wonderful position, and happy to support you.
Thank you as always. And
you're welcome.
I look forward to supporting you.
Thank you.